I didn't leave her the way people usually imagine. There was no goodbye, no dramatic argument, no slammed door. I just stopped showing up the way I used to. And that was worse. At the time, I told myself I was handling things. Work was heavy. Life was loud. Responsibility stacked up faster than I could sort it. She was patient. At first. Her name was Claire. We'd been together almost 4 years when the distance started. Not physical distance. The other kind. The one you feel even when someone's sitting right next to you. The first thing to go was eye contact. I didn't notice it then. I only realized later how often I looked past her instead of at her. At my phone, at the TV, at nothing. She noticed. She always noticed. We met in our late 20s. Old enough to be cautious. Young enough to believe effort still solved everything. She worked in nonprofit consulting. I worked in finance. Different worlds, same city, same tired conversations about time we didn't have. In the beginning, I showed up fully. I listened. I asked questions. I stayed present even when I was exhausted. She used to say, "You make me feel like I matter." That sentence should have scared me more than it did. Somewhere along the way, my ambitions started wearing me like armor. I became proud of being busy, of being unavailable, of being the guy who always had a lot going on. I thought that meant I was strong. What it really meant was that I was hiding. Claire didn't demand much. That was the problem. She didn't scream. She didn't threaten to leave. She just tried harder. She adjusted. She waited. She filled the silence with understanding I didn't earn. The first real crack came on a random Tuesday. I was late. Again. She'd cooked. Again. The food was cold. Again. She didn't comment. She just pushed my plate toward me and said, "You don't have to rush." That sentence landed heavier than anger would have. I rushed anyway. I always did. Over the next few months, the pattern solidified. I canceled plans. She said it was okay. I forgot small things. She remembered for both of us. I became efficient. She became lonely. One night, she asked me a question I still hear sometimes. "Do you still want to be here? Or are you just used to me being here?" I laughed it off. Said she was overthinking. Said work was just intense right now. I didn't answer the question. I didn't realize then that unanswered questions don't disappear. They wait. We stopped having real conversations. Everything became logistics. Who's picking up groceries? Who's paying which bill? What time we're waking up? We lived together, but we stopped meeting each other. I told myself, relationships settle, that passion fades, that stability looks like silence. What I didn't realize was that silence feels different when only one person chooses it. One evening, I came home to find her sitting on the floor of the living room. No music, no TV, just her in a half-packed box. I remember thinking it looked premature, dramatic. I didn't understand yet. She looked up at me and smiled, a small one, tired. "I'm not leaving," she said quickly. "I just needed to know if I could." That should have terrified me. Instead, I nodded. That was the moment everything quietly shifted. The moment that changed everything, even though nothing visibly happened. After that, she pulled back, just slightly. Enough that I noticed, not enough that I acted. She stopped reminding me, stopped waiting up, stopped asking how my day really was. I told myself we were fine. We weren't. A few weeks later, she didn't come home one night. No warning, no fight, just a text, "Staying at Jenna's. Need space." I stared at the screen longer than I should have. Then I put the phone down and opened my laptop. That night, I made the most comfortable mistake of my life. I didn't know it yet, but I was already alone. I just hadn't felt the weight larger without, not yet, not emptier, larger, like the walls had stepped back and were watching me. She didn't come home the next day, or the day after that. She texted once, short, polite. "I need a little more time." I told myself I respected that. What I really did was stay busy. I worked late, went to the gym longer, ate standing up, anything that kept me from sitting with the silence she left behind. On the fourth night, I noticed the quiet differently, not peaceful, not calm, heavy, like something waiting for me to acknowledge it. Her side of the closet was still full, her shoes by the door, her coffee mug in the sink. She hadn't left, she had paused. And I finally understood what that meant. I replayed moments I'd dismissed before. The way she stopped telling me about her day. The way she no longer asked for reassurance. The way her kindness slowly turned neutral. She wasn't pulling away to punish me. She was protecting herself. I remembered something she once said early on. I don't need constant attention. I just need to feel chosen. I had heard the words. I just hadn't lived them. On the 5th day, I asked if we could talk. She agreed. No hesitation, no urgency either. That scared me more than a refusal would have. We met at a small cafe near our apartment. Neutral territory, public, safe. She looked steady, not angry, not sad, resolved. You look tired, she said. I was, but not from work. I told her I'd been thinking, that I realized I'd checked out, that I wanted to do better. She listened, quietly, the way people listen when they've already processed the pain. I believe you, she said. I just don't know if I believe it will last. That was fair, and somehow unbearable. I tried to explain how pressure had changed me, how responsibility had piled up, how I thought I was building a future for us. She nodded. I know, she said. That's why I stayed as long as I did. There was no accusation in her voice, no bitterness, just clarity. I don't think you meant to hurt me, she continued, but you stopped choosing me, and I felt that long before you noticed anything was wrong. I didn't interrupt. I didn't defend myself. For the first time, I stayed. She told me about nights she cried quietly, about feeling like an accessory in my life, about shrinking her needs so I wouldn't feel burdened. Each sentence landed softly, and still broke something open inside me. I don't want to beg for presents, she said. I want it to be given. That was the moment I realized something crucial. Love doesn't end when someone leaves. It ends when someone stops believing they matter. I asked her if it was over. She paused, long enough that hope flickered. Then she shook her head. I don't know yet, she said, but I know I can't go back to how it was. We walked home together, not holding hands, not distant either, just two people sharing space carefully. That night, she slept in the bedroom. I slept on the couch, not as punishment, as honesty. The weeks that followed were slow, painfully intentional. I changed my schedule, put my phone away, learned how to listen without fixing. Not because I was afraid of losing her anymore, but because I finally understood what being present actually cost. She watched, didn't rush, didn't reward effort with reassurance. I couldn't blame her. Consistency is louder than apology. Some nights, she still stayed quiet. Some mornings, she left early. Trust doesn't rebuild on intention alone. It rebuilds on repetition. 3 months later, she unpacked the box in the living room. She didn't announce it. She just folded things back into place. That meant more than any promise. We are still together. Not because I changed overnight, not because love saved us, but because I learned something too late to be proud of, and just early enough to act on. I don't confuse silence with stability anymore, and I don't measure commitment by how much I carry alone. I didn't leave her. I almost disappeared. And now, every day I choose to be seen. Some people don't walk away. They wait to see if you'll finally show up. This time, I did.